Jai Giri Vadavo Hari. Gopichana Vallabha Jaya Giri Vadam Hari. Jaya Giri Vadam Hari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaram Jana. Yasodanandana Braja Janaram Jana. Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jakum Jabihani. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kum Jabihani. Gopichana Vallabha Jai Giri Vadadhari. Jai Giri Vadavobhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janara Janam. Yasodanandana Braja Janara Jana. Thank you. Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jakum Jabihari. Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayakum. Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayakum Jabihari. Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jayakum Jabi. Jai Radha Madhava Jayakum Jabi Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Jayakum Jabi. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kum Jabi Hari. Gaur Premanandi. Yeah, I'll name that, sure.
So like, if you shoot right back here.
Okay, sure. I got it.
Camera.
All right, I got it. Oh, thanks. Okay, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Shushi Radikal Chandi's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we're reading from the 10th canto, part 2 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are in chapter number 23. This chapter is entitled, The Brahmin's Wives Blessed. We're reading text number 29 and 30. Since it's only 2 verses, I'm just going to read the Sanskrit. You can read together with me or just after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Patna Uchu. Maivam Vibo Hati Bhavan Gaditum Nirsham Syam. Satyam Kurushva Nigamam Tavapadamudlam. Prapta Vayam Tulasitam Mapada Vrishashtam. Kaishar Vidodhum Atilang Ka Samasta Bandum. Shri Patna Uchu. My Vampipo Hati Bhavam Gadatum Nirsam Syam. Satyam Kurushva Nigamam Tavapadamudlam. Pratat Vayam Tulasitam Padavashashtam. Kasharvidum Hum Atilang Gasamasta Bandum. You can change the key. My voice is so low. Go ahead. Anybody else? My vam bibo hati bavam gaditum nirahastam. Okay, word for word. Shri Patna Uchu. The wives of the Brahmins said, Ma, not, Evam, like this, Vibhu, the Almighty Lord, Arhati, ought, Bhavan, you, Gadi Tum, to speak, Nirashamsyam, harshly, Satyam, true, Kurushva, please make, Nigamam, the promise given in the revealed scripture. Tava, your padamulam, the base of the lotus feet, praptya, having obtained, vayam, we, tulasi dhamma, the garland of tulasi leaves. Pada, by your feet, of our shrishtam, neglectfully kicked away. Keshai, upon your hair. Nivodum, in order to carry. Atilangya, rejecting. Samastya, all. Bandhum, relations. Okay, translation report by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So here, the wives of the Brahmanas replied, O Almighty One, please do not speak such cruel words. Rather, you should fulfill your promise that you always reciprocate with your devotees in kind. Now that we have attained your lotus feet, we simply wish to remain here in the forest so that we may carry upon our heads the garlands of tulsi leaves you may neglectfully kick away with your lotus feet. We are ready to give up all material relations. Okay, please repeat. The wives of the Brahmanas replied, O Almighty One, please do not speak such cruel words. Rather, you should fulfill your promise that you always reciprocate with your devotees in kind. Now that we have attained your lotus feet, we simply wish to remain here in the forest so that we may carry upon our heads the garlands of tulasi leaves you may neglectfully kick away with your lotus feet. We are ready to give up all material relations. Okay, I'll just go on here and read the next verse, and then I'll go back to the purport here. So, Grinantina na pataya pitaro sutava na bharatrit bandhu suhridya kuta eva chanye tasmat bhavat prapadyayo pati atmanam no nanya bhavat gatir arindam hatad videhi. And the translation, our husbands, fathers, sons, brothers, other relatives, and friends will no longer take us back. And how could anyone else take us? And how could anyone else be willing to give us shelter? Therefore, since we have thrown ourselves at your lotus feet and have no other destination, please, O chastiser of enemies, grant our desire. Purport. Here the Brahmana's wives are saying something similar to what the gopis say at the beginning of the rasa dance, when Lord Krishna tells them to go home as well. Like this verse, the gopis' statement begins with the words, "My vamvibo rati bhavan gaditum nirshamsam." Nigama refers to the Vedic literature, which states that one who surrenders at the lotus feet of the Lord does not return to this material world. Thus, the Brahmana's wives appeal to the Lord that since they have surrendered to him, it's unfair for him to order them to return to their materialistic husbands. Is this woman leadership? According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lord Krishna might have pointed out to the Brahmana's wives, you young ladies are members of the aristocratic Brahmin community, so how can you surrender at the feet of a mere cowherd boy? To this, the ladies might have replied, since we've already surrendered at your lotus feet, and since we desire to become your servants, we are obviously not maintaining a false identification as members of the so-called Brahmin community. You can easily ascertain this from our words. Lord Krishna might have replied, I'm a coward boy, and my proper maidservants and girlfriends are the coward girls, the gopis. The wives might have answered, true, yet let them be so. Let them shine forth if you are embarrassed in front of your relatives to make Brahmana ladies your maidservants. We certainly don't want to embarrass you. We will not go to your village, but rather will remain in Vrindavan like presiding deities of the forest. We simply desire to perfect our lives by even a slight trace of connection with you. Thus, by the spiritual insight of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, we learn that the Brahmana's wives offered to remain at a distance and simply take the tulasi leaves that would fall from the lotus feet of Krishna or be crushed by the feet of his girlfriends when he would embrace them. The ladies offered to carry these tulasi leaves upon their heads, thus renouncing the desire to become Krishna's intimate girlfriends or maidservants, a position they knew was difficult to achieve. The young Brahmana ladies begged to remain in Vrindavan forest. If the Lord had then asked, then what will your family members say? They would have replied, we have already transcended our so-called relatives because we are seeing you, the Supreme Lord, face to face. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments as follows, from their very youth, the Brahmana's wives had heard about Lord Krishna's beauty, qualities, and sweetness from the women folk of Vrindavan village. And thus, from the flower ladies, the betel nut sellers, and also from the flower ladies, the betel nut sellers and others. Consequently, they always felt ecstatic love for Krishna and were indifferent to their household duties. Their husbands, seeing them as deviant, doubted them and avoided dealing with them as far as possible. Now the wives of the Brahmanas were ready to formally reject their so-called families and neighbors. And out of great agitation, they were crying and placing their heads upon Lord Krishna's lotus feet, offering obeisances. In this way, with choking voices, they spoke the above verse. They begged that Lord Krishna bestow upon them the benediction that he be their only destination, that he, the chastiser of enemies, subdue all their enemies, those difficulties obstructing them from attaining the Lord. The wives of the Brahmanas simply wanted to serve Lord Krishna, and this is pure Krishna consciousness in ecstatic love of Godhead. Om Ganatamanandasya Garanjana Shalakaya Chakshustamyatamya Tasmai Shri Gurube Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakata Mayam Tadati Swapadantika. Such a moving scene here. The Brahmins' wives are out crying in the forest at Krishna's feet, begging him to accept them and begging him to bless them that they can renounce their husbands, their useless husbands, and even the rest of their family who didn't agree with them. Oh my God, I'm loving this. I'm really loving this. Here the Brahmins' wives are saying something similar to the gopis, right? When Krishna told them, what are you doing out here in the forest? There's tigers, there's all these animals, just cobras out here. Why out in the forest coming after me? You better just go home and be safe. And plus your husbands are going to think you're crazy. And what about your kids crying at home? Don't you care about anything? But here, just like the gopis, the Brahmins' wives are saying, we have renounced everything to be with you. So why should we care about any of that? That's really the position of a surrendered devotee. Somebody who gives up material identification, connections with all these mundane designations, even the aristocratic position of being Brahmins' wives, who were famous for their spiritual practices. It's quite a unique and, praiseworthy and worshipful position. But this is really the position that allows someone to reciprocate with Krishna's love. It's really at this point that Krishna begins to, again, embrace all of us as devotees. Of course, Krishna's love is always there. It's not that Krishna's love is ever diminished, or Krishna at some time hates us and at another time loves us. Krishna is absolute. Even the demons, even demoniac people, Krishna will show his love to them, give them liberation. The perfect example is Putana. She came to kill Krishna, right? She was vicious. She was maintaining her life by killing small children and eating their flesh. That's a witch. And she was practicing black arts. How to curse you to die. How to curse you to become sick. How to take away things from you. How to illusion you. It's an honest-to-God witch. But yet, she was given the same position of mother, of Krishna's mother in the spiritual world, just on account of a slight degree of motherly affection for him. So Krishna's love is like unbelievable. Even for us, we've basically turned our backs to Krishna. That's why we came to this material world. Just like those of you who are parents, or you've probably, even not as parents, you've seen this or even experienced it yourselves. A child might grow up and just leave the family, turn their back on their family, not want anything to do with their family. And yet, two things are there. One, they can never become free from the identity that I am the son or I am the daughter of these parents. In the same way, no matter how we turn ourselves away from Krishna, we are always eternally connected with Krishna. We cannot destroy that. We cannot end that. We cannot philosophize something, to say that God is dead or I am not a spirit soul, just like the Buddhists or the Mayavadis or even the materialistic scientists. The Buddhists, they say that everything is ultimately void and that there is no soul, there is no God, right? And they claim that in an absolute context. Okay, so like let's just say, for example, if everybody would agree that 2 is closer to 1 than 10, right? But even if you were to go say take 10 dots, so even if there are 2 dots, that's not an absolute or a singular, unified identity, because even that single dot has a background. So that's why the Buddhists say that ultimately everything is void. If everything is one, if everything is absolute, if everything is an energy, if we're all just energy, then when you bring that down to that singular point, there's still a background for the point to be on. So they say, therefore, everything is void. Then they say the ultimate perfection of life, nirvana, is to annihilate your identity. The Mayavadis, what they're saying is that everything is ultimately an illusion. and that we're all God. Everything is God. Vasudeva Saramiti. They misinterpret that. Right? That everyone is God. So if everyone is God, just like I went to this Arne Gatram performance, and so they brought their guru from Bhuvaneshwar, and they produced this beautiful program. And I was friends with this family. My wife and I went, and the daughter did these incredible dances, and they had this fantastic Bharatanatyam band, this Vedic bhajan band. They had a famous woman professor who was a sitar player. And so she went through all these different dances worshiping Lord Jagannath from Bhuvaneshwar. So it was Krishna Leela, it was Jagannath Rath Yatra, it was her worship of her mother. And then in the last dance, she sits down in meditation and she merges and becomes one with God. This is a family that comes here regularly. And then everybody, you got all these men dressed in these $1,000 suits, and you got all these women in silk saris with thousands of dollars of gold, and the whole parking lot's filled with Mercedes and Lexus and Teslas. And then as soon as she sits down, and it's in the program written by their guru. I'm reading the beautiful program. This family spent $40,000 on this presentation, ultimately to give this Mayavadi conclusion, that ultimately she merges and becomes God. And then everybody is like this. Yes, we are all God. Yeah. There was a famous Mayavadi guru who came here years ago, and he gave this program, and the devotees were invited. So at the program, he speaks out to everyone, and he says, why do you want to follow the Hare Krishnas? They will make you servants. He said, if you follow me, I will make you the master. And everybody's clapping so loudly, so happy. You see? But there's no love in that, right? As soon as you annihilate the relationship between the devotee and Krishna, there is no loving relationship. Love requires two, not one. Just like we're reading here. And the Mayavadis, their conclusion that everything is ultimately impersonal. Like if you go to the biggest corporation in India, the Tata Corporation, you go into their corporate office, you'll see a picture which shows the different planets, just like we have, and then they show Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, and then above them they have Brahman. And they say that Brahman is the ultimate end, the ultimate conclusion of the Vedas. And their conclusion, the reason they come to this conclusion is because they say that personality limits God. If God is a coward boy, how can he be God? He's just a little boy. How is a coward boy unlimited? How is personality unlimited? So therefore, energy is superior to personality. But Prabhupada gives a very simple example. He says that just like if you look at majestic mountains, you'll see the waterfalls and everything. The snow-covered peaks. And I don't know if any of you have done this, but if you ever take a trip to the Rocky Mountains with your kids, you'll experience this. You get out on these observation platforms. You look at the mountains, and after about 5 minutes, your kids are telling you, come on, let's go. We've seen the mountains long enough. The most majestic manifestation of natural energy. Whereas if you meet someone that you actually love, you can be with that person day and night. You can talk to them for 8 hours on the phone and not feel any problem. So this simple example that Prabhupada gives is it proves that personality is superior to energy. If you break it down even just like an automobile. Okay, you have, what's in your automobile? Your son, Prabhu, Sridhar Sham Prabhu, your son still builds those race cars? Oh, he doesn't do that. He was in college, he was doing that, I remember. What's it called? Oh, he's building satellites now. Sorry, let's talk about satellites. So satellites, you have copper wires, you have steel, you have aluminum, you have all these, what are they called? Microchips, semiconductors, right? Fans, all of this stuff, right? So all of these things are components of the material energy. But unless a conscious person brings those different elements together, you cannot have a satellite. So consciousness is superior to energy. So now, what is the core? What is the core existence of consciousness? What do we all hanker for? That's love. We all want to experience that. We want to experience that, the satisfaction of not just any love, of intimate, loving relationships. Someone that we can take shelter of, someone that we can talk to heart, where it is unnatural for us to be isolated and lonely. The only reason we put ourselves in an isolated condition is because we are grieving. And the grief, we try to internalize it, but you can't. So it comes out either in the form of sickness, like Mother Yagnapriya is part of this health initiative. What do you guys call yourselves? Is there a name for your centers? Health in the mind. But is there a name for the center where you go to visit? Right. I was just wondering, is there a name for it? Govinda's Wellness. Oh, very Krishna conscious. Very Krishna conscious name. Okay, but even in Chinese medicine, right, we have this the philosophy, the scientific analysis that internal sickness manifests in external disease. Right? So the point that I'm making is that if you go to the core of your spiritual identity, the grief that we have within our heart is that we turned our backs on Krishna. That's the core of all grief. And Krishna loves us so much. Look at, even though we've gone away from Krishna, Krishna has created an entire universe for us to maintain ourselves, to enjoy, so-called enjoy ourselves. Hare Krishna. So, So grief. Just like, say, a parent that loves their child and the child goes away, the mother may give the child money. The mother may give the child a car. The mother may stay in touch with the child and make sure the child has enough to eat and the child's got his or her bills paid and all of these things, right? So Krishna is doing all of that. He's providing us an entire universe out of love for us. So that grief, the way it manifests, is generally we become disturbed by it. Generally, we become, we try to, avoid it, right? How many times, even if, let's just take some relationship that we had, say your mother died, or somebody you really close to you dies, that you really loved, right? It's natural to grieve over that. Now, if you're working for a company, a materialistic company, they'll tell you, okay, you can have 3 days to grieve, your mom passed away or whoever, but we need you back in the office after 3 days. But actually, it takes years of grieving. You can't just get over it. Just like you cannot get over the fact that we have tried in every way to remove ourselves from a loving relationship with Krishna. We've tried to deny Krishna. We've even have massive educational institutions that are advocating philosophies and sciences that totally deny God. And they have the same conclusion as the Mayavadis. They say everything we know about personality, it requires time. It requires time. Thank you, Mother Kuti. It requires time to, fulfill your desires. It requires time to have a relationship. It requires time to love somebody. And time is the restricting aspect of the material energy. So if something exists prior to time, or before creation, it cannot be a person. That's the Western scientific conclusion, that everything comes from an energy. And then they come up with ideas like everything comes from a dead chunk that has infinite density and finite size. All these things are very illogical. Huh? How? Yeah, size is infinitesimal and the density is infinite. Yeah, thank you. Totally unscientific, totally illogical, right? This is so much more logical. The Vedic conclusion is perfect in its logic. Okay, let's just talk about that for a minute, and then we'll get into this, the emotions, emotional love of Krishna, in Krishna consciousness. So, if you have, what we experience is from something complex, we see equally complex manifestations or less complex manifestations being produced or emanating. Okay? Now, what the Western conclusion is that everything comes from the smallest building blocks. Right? Everybody knows how it goes. It's, right? Atoms break down to molecules. Cells break down to molecules. Molecules break down to atoms. Atoms break down to subatomic particles. And the subatomic particles are known as quarks. And ultimately, we are just a combination of quarks. And our consciousness is a manifestation of quarks. Do you guys ever wake up in the morning and think you're a quark? Okay, let's take the sense of being someone, not some two, not some trillion, zillion, They're saying if we're ultimately billions and trillions of subatomic particles, how with your intelligence do you unify that, trillions of subatomic particles into the sense of being someone? You can't do it. That's insane. Rather, what we see is from complex entities, equally complex entities are created, or less complex things are created. We never see from something simple, something more complex is emanated. How can something simple manifest something more complex than itself? It doesn't have within it the components, the constituents to manifest something more complex. All we've ever witnessed scientifically is from complex things, less complex entities are created. So we have the most complex Supreme Personality of Godhead. The creator, the controller, the enjoyer. Even old Noel Webster knew that. It didn't take a religious faith. It's right there in the dictionary. So we have, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the most complex, the omniscient, omnipotent source of everything. And from him, equally complex entities are created, like his expansions, his avatars, like Balaram, or the Chaturvyuha, the Mula Chaturvyuha, the Purusha, the Purusha avatars, the Leela avatars, and so forth. And then we have ourselves, the Jiva, right? The Jivas. We are part and parcel of the Supreme. But just because we are of spiritual energy, does that make us God? We're emanations of spiritual energy. Spiritual energy is Satchidananda Vigraha. We know that verse. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govind Sarvakarna Karnam. We know that spiritual energy is made of Satchidananda. So you are also Satchidananda. Does that make you God? Who can answer? Are you all God? We're all Anu. Okay, so Satchidananda, and then, here's a simple example. You guys all love Donald Trump, right? All right, so Donald Trump's president of the United States. He's an American, and you are Americans. So because you're Americans, does that also make you the president of the United States? You are spiritual by nature. Does that make you God? We're part and parcel, right? Exactly. But Mayavadis, scientists, highly intellectual, world-famous institutions cannot even understand this simple point. And why don't they want to understand it? Why don't they want to understand it? Because if they accept it, they cannot exploit you. They don't want you going home and grieving about how you have no love of God. They don't want you wasting time like that. No, they want you running out to work, absorbing yourselves in all of these different computer programs and different distractions, because when they do that to you, they can exploit you. That's demoniac society. But because we're living in between this devotional society and the material society, they are saying that we are crazy. And that's why these wives are rejecting their husbands and their families. What does it mean to be spiritual? Can anybody say? Either one, but spiritual. What does it mean to be spiritual? Let's talk about in basic English, spiritual. What does it mean to be spiritual? It means I have a relationship with the Supreme Person. Okay, so let's look at it. There are so many parties. There's the Republican Party. There's the Democratic Party, I think. There is the Women's Liberation Party. There is the Male Chauvinist Liberation Party. The which party you want to throw in there? Huh? The Green Party. Yeah, there's the Black Liberation Party. There's, who else we got out there? We got a bunch of them. I mean, it's so many, it's almost like you just block them out of your mind. Anyway, so you guys got it, right? We got the lesbian, the homosexual party. We got, what else we've got? We've got the superior corporate leader parties. Okay? And all these parties are calling one another crazy. The Democrats call the Republicans crazy. The Republicans call the Democrats crazy. The women's, how do we define the women? liberation movement, are they misandrists? Do they hate men? Then you have the male misogynistic, and they're calling the women crazy. Yeah, and the women have their version also, right? And they're all calling each other crazy. So here we are, and to spiritual means that we are part of God's party. Right? And we're calling them crazy. And they're calling us crazy. So who's crazy? Sridhar Sam said he's crazy. No, the devotees are not crazy. The devotees are actually accepting reality, the truth, that we're not this body. We have philosophy, we have a practice of Krishna consciousness to actually realize these conclusions. And it's more logical, it's scientific, and it's the greatest authorities in the history of the world, the greatest scholars of the world have commented on this and concluded and given these conclusions as truth. Okay, have you guys ever seen an atom on your phone? No, look on your phone right now and pull up an image of an atom. An atom, A-T-O-M. You're just going to see a pencil drawing of it. Because no one's ever perceived an atom. Okay? It's just done in mathematics. It's a mathematical conclusion. Based on the Vedas, if I may. It's based on the Vedic literature. The German research is based on the Vedic literature. But you cannot find an atom. So these Western scientists, what they're saying is that everything comes from these subatomic particles. But can any of them present you a subatomic particle? Can they show that to you in a laboratory? Can they present it to you? So no. So what we have to do is we have to accept their authority. And their conclusions are based on hundreds, maybe even thousands of scientific experiments that they themselves cannot reproduce. You ask a scientist, what are your conclusions based on XYZ experiment? Can you do those experiments? Have you ever done those experiments? No, I'm just taking the conclusions from them. So they themselves haven't even experienced it. Okay? So look at those authorities, which are motivated by money, by personal sense enjoyment, by an ego to gain a sense of superiority over everyone else, even God. I was looking in this magazine, Science Illustrated, is the name of it, some big science magazine. I've quoted this before. And the scientist was saying that God is holding on to the edge of modern society and will soon be kicked off and kicked in the face off the edge of modern society into the abyss of meaninglessness. That's what they're presenting. You can go buy the magazine. It's at Whole Foods. It's all over the world. Krishna will be kicked in the face off the edge of human society into the abyss of meaninglessness. We're accepting them as authorities. Now, what I'm saying is, even though we may not have realized Krishna Bhakti, look at our authorities. Look at Srila Prabhupada. Look at Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Look at Gorkashodas Babaji. Look at their lives. Look at their teachings. Look at their examples. Look at your own guru's example. Look at the other devotees' example. What do you see? Who are you going to accept? Somebody that's just entrenched in wild speculations to gain a sense of superiority over others and to claim some income? Or these great selfless souls? Okay, so the conclusion here about the Brahmins' wives is that they were willing to give up everything for Krishna. How many times have we heard this in the Bhagavatam? Dhruva Maharaj, willing to give up the kingdom of Lord Brahma, a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma. The gopis are cited here. Arjuna and the Pandavas. Look at Srila Prabhupada. Look at one another. The devotees, we may have our faults. We might be crazy or not very rich or whatever we are. But at least we can say that the devotees have given up everything to serve Krishna. And that makes them greater even than the greatest kings. The Vedic literature, it does not accept Western education as knowledge. In Sanskrit, it's called shilpi. Shilpi means like an art, is what it means. It means it's an art. Western technology is an art to make material life supposedly more comfortable. And they've inculcated us with this idea that somehow material arrangements are happiness. I'm telling you guys, I'm 64. You can put me in the best automobile that's out there. And if you want to sit like this, for 3 hours in traffic and call it enjoyment, you're crazy. If you want to pay the car payment, pay for the oil, gasoline, cleaning it, the insurance, and the stress of driving in rush hour or in any traffic, you're crazy if you think that's enjoyment. But people are so deeply inculcated by corporate psychology, they're accepting misery as enjoyment. So the point I want to make here about love of God, of loving Krishna, is, first of all of these things are seen by a devotee as an impetus to turn back towards Krishna. Everybody else sees it that God is being mean, or there is no God, or God is somehow not in control, right? Or they come up with wild speculations, the devil and all of these things. The Bhagavatam doesn't accept the devil. That's just irresponsibility. Yeah, there's demoniac people, there's demoniac mentality, but there's nobody competing with God. So this emotional love, oh yeah, here, wait, I got to stop now. I see you guys. You should have signaled me earlier. Okay, so I'll stop right now. This is the conclusion I want to say about emotional love, okay, and turning back towards Krishna. Is this whole process is meant ultimately to guide us to take guidance from advanced devotees who have awakened their love for Krishna, and to look at their examples, like these wives of the Brahmanas, and understand that by taking shelter of Krishna, everything else becomes insignificant, and we become completely satisfied. And only in this process can we actually achieve the depth of love that we are hankering for at every moment. Krishna is completely independent. He's controlling everything. And he is the source of everything. He has infinite beauty, infinite love, infinite opulences and strength. So he's actually worthy of us taking shelter of him. And when we do that, all our desires become fulfilled, much, much greater than anything we could ever imagine. And then in that position, we can actually love one another. Otherwise, we're always grappling. Why didn't you do this for me? Why didn't you do that for him? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't I serve you on hands and knees? Why aren't you satisfied? So only with Krishna is that possible. And when you obtain Krishna, you can actually love someone else purely because you don't require anything from anyone else. All right, I'll stop here. Thanks, you guys, for your kind attention. Sorry I was getting a little bombastic there. Yes, ma'am. You can just say it. I'll repeat it if that's not working. It wasn't working for me.
I just put batteries in it.
There it is.
Okay, Narottam Ananda, thank you for your class, which really delineates the complete abysmal situation of the atheistic propaganda that is being so widely accepted in the world. And thank you for, shaking us and say, look, guys, this is going on. At the same time, please speak more about the verses today that we were covering. Would you just speak a little more about the emotional love of God that you were
Okay,
touching
emotional, certainly, Mother Kunti, I can do that. The emotional love of God is for devotees who are practicing sadhana to the point where they are no longer under the rules and regulations. Not that they stop following the regulative principles, not that they stop doing these things. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he was coming to Mangalarti and he said, if I don't come, no one will come. But the emotional love that's being described here, okay, this is Krishna exhibits these pastimes to invoke those emotions within us. Ultimately, we regain our spiritual identities by awakening our emotional love for Krishna. So when we see how Mother Yashoda serves Krishna, just like, it's alluded to here in this purport, but you may have heard this or not. Mother Yashoda, every day she would sing different loving songs about Krishna. So when she would sing, she would make up these beautiful songs about Krishna. How adorable he is, how sweet he is, how funny he is, how he has so much love, what he does for his father. He carries his father's shoes on his head, and all these different things about Krishna. She would sing. And then the other cowherd women, they would hear those songs, and then they would start singing them. And it would become like the top 10 hits of Vrindavan. And all of this would spread across. And as it said right here in the purport here, that these ladies, they would hear the songs of the cowherd women of Vrindavan, and which were coming from Mother Yashoda. And when they would hear these songs, their natural emotional love for Krishna awakened. And it's through that emotional love that one's spiritual identity develops. It's a very natural process. It's not something like, Bhagavan Ananda Prabhu and I were just talking about, we used to say this verse, maybe Mother Kunti, you remember this too. There was this verse by Rupa Goswami that if one is infested with the 10 offenses, even though they may go on chanting the Hare Krishna mantra for countless lifetimes, they will never achieve the ultimate goal of prema bhakti. We used to say that before the 10 offenses every day. So the point that I'm making is that our conditioning doesn't allow us to develop these feelings. Only in association with these pure devotees, by hearing them, then we begin to develop that spiritual identity. Oh, I want to be like one of Krishna's cowherd boyfriends. Oh, I want to be like Mother Yashoda. Oh, I want to be one of the cowherd girls. Oh, I want to be, I just want to see Krishna constantly. Like, I'll give you a very sweet story. There was Gadadhar Pandit was living in Jagannath Puri, and he had taken a vow of Kshetra Sannyas. There are two twin, everybody knows, Jani Vivas and Pankajani and Mayapur, so one of them had taken this vow of Kshetra Sannyas. So you never leave that area, right? So Gadadhar Pandit took this vow, and he was worshiping the deity of Gopinath. You may have seen this deity. This deity loved Gadadhar so much that when he got too old to put the garland on Gadadhar, the deity sat down. If you look on your phone, you can see there's a deity of Radharani and Lalita standing on each side of him, and Todi Gopinath is sitting down. And that's the deity that they say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered when he returned to the spiritual world. And Gadadhar Pandit is Srimati Radharani and Krishna's Leela. So Gadadhar Pandit, when Lord Chaitanya was leaving for Vrindavan, Gadadhar Pandit followed him. And some other devotees did too, like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and there were others. And they followed Lord Chaitanya all the way to the end of Purushottam Kshetra, the area which is defined as Lord Jagannath's abode. And when he got to the end there, Lord Chaitanya said, you have to go back now, Gadadhar. You have to go back. You have to worship Tota Gopinath. You can't break your vow. And he said, just seeing your lotus feet, my Lord, is worth millions and trillions of RTs. And Lord Chaitanya said, I'm not going to be the one to be blamed for you breaking your vow. And he said, I won't even bother you. I won't even force myself on you. I'll just stay away and just watch you from afar and just offer him a little bit of respects and just chant. I'll never bother you. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, you have to go back. And then Gadadhar told him, he said, look, if you say that you're the one who will be blamed for me leaving Jagannath Puri, then I will take all the blame. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, I can't take you. And he told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, take him back. And as soon as he said that, Gadadhar Pandit fainted from the intense feelings of separation from Lord Chaitanya. And when he woke up, Lord Chaitanya had left. He had crossed. There was a river there. He had crossed over the river and was leaving. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told him, look, Gadadhar, this is the pastimes of the Lord. There is no reason. It's not something that you can confine within yourself. Lord Chaitanya's love and his desires have to be carried out because they are unlimited. They are so far beyond us, like that. So when we hear these pastimes, there are two different levels of consciousness that we practice Krishna consciousness within. There's the external level. I'm here at the Artik, I'm here at the Kirtan, I'm here at the class, I'm chanting my rounds. Then there's the internal or inner space that we develop. And that's something very confidential, very private. But that inner space is expanded by hearing these pastimes of exchange of emotional love between Krishna and his associates. And these feelings are what invoke and reawaken our spiritual identity. So that's what we're hearing here in the 10th canto. Okay, you guys? You're welcome. So I'll stop here, unless you have any other questions or comments. Sorry I went over time a little bit here. Oh, wow. Okay, well, 4 minutes can be, what did Krishna, what did they say? 1 minute is like 12 years or more. One moment is like 12 years or more. So we have 4 minutes. Anybody else? Come on, you guys. Sorry, I hammered you guys with the philosophy a little bit there. I shouldn't have been so heavy. You guys are so meek and humble. I feel very out of place. Hare Krishna. Yes.
I was appreciating it, Prabhu. Thank you for
you're very welcome.
Laying it
I'm
on
glad.
us. And I just wanted to ask if you could briefly share, for those of us, well, actually, all of us are Sankirtan devotees, because this is the Sankirtan movement. There's no separation. So we're all preaching in some capacity. Could you please shed some light on how we can try to explain, how you explain so nicely to us, like the illusion of this world, materialistic society, to people that we might be encountering, trying to share Krishna consciousness?
Oh, okay. That's a very nice question. Thank you for that. Yeah, what I would say about us being Sankirtan devotees, I would say that sadhana bhakti is based on faith and discipline. But as soon as we engage in Sankirtan, giving Krishna consciousness to others, we invoke another level of Krishna consciousness, which is Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And that's what picks us up above the Kanishta platform and the Madhyam platform, or it places us actually on the Madhyam platform with the open door of the higher levels of emotional love that we're reading about. So Sankirtan is critical for those who are serious about making rapid spiritual advancement. Even if you say, oh, I go out and I can't even sell one book, or I just sell one book in 8 hours, take some of these new Spirit Soul magazines. Go out to people. I just say, hey, how are you? Like I'm inviting people from work all the time. Same thing with my wife. She's a nurse and is a hospital supervisor. We have doctors over to our house, friends over to our house. I have friends coming from work sometimes. And all I tell them is, I'm part of this Bhakti Yoga Village in East Dallas, Kalachandji's Restaurant Palace. We've got an award-winning restaurant. We have a beautiful temple here. And, I'd love to have you guys over sometime for dinner. Check it out. Come on by my house. I think the first thing we need to do with people is just establish a friendship. The friendship is the most powerful way that binds all of us together, even amongst ourselves, And as soon as we do that, just tell them about what you do. Say, hey, I'm part of this international movement. Our founder, Srila Prabhupada, was a prolific writer. He trained so many people. He was connected with the Beatles. That's way before your time, but maybe some people. You ever listen to the Beatles? You did? Oh, wow. As a devotee or before that? Oh, wow. Okay, great. I can give you one example that I experienced, and I was just talking to Bhagavatam Ananda about this. He went to why don't you tell the story, Bhagavat? He went to get his passport repaired yesterday. It was all crunched up or something. I think he had slept on it, or I don't know what happened to it. Maybe. And so he went there, and one of the devotees drove him, and it took 2 hours to see the official. The woman in the passport office, in the post office, who was dealing with passports. And the devotee who drove him started saying, look, we've been here 2 hours. I gotta go right now. And the woman at that time called him up to her desk, and she overheard the whole thing, and she said, look, it'll just take me 2 minutes to finish this. And the devotee said, no, I have to go right now. So the devotee already waited 2 hours, so let's give him a little bit of, right? Appreciation. He drove him all the way to North Dallas, right? And he was there for 2 hours. Okay, so anyway, the devotee left. And Bhagavat was there with this woman, so at the post office in charge of the passports. So she took care of the passports. And while she was doing that, what happened? So she said, the passport official said, how are you going to get home? Your ride's gone. And then there was another woman standing in line. She said, I'll call you an Uber for you, right? And then suddenly that woman started asking him about Krishna consciousness. The post office woman started talking to him about it. And she mentioned Kalachandji's. Right? And the woman behind the counter said, hey, what's that? What's Kalachandji's? I never heard of that. And there he is, a half an hour in the post office telling everybody about the temple and the restaurant. Hey, so the woman calls the Uber for him, right? So he takes the Uber back, and that guy happens to be a Jamaican, and then he's Jamaican, and then they're all talking about Krishna consciousness all the way here. And he was saying, man, I just got this, intense inspiration. And Krishna's saying, hey, why don't you go out in the world and talk to people about Krishna consciousness? And he was saying, I couldn't believe how wonderful it is out there. Okay, that would be my advice. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Go Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Go Premanandi.